2 years after the events in Child's Play, Part 1 in this History of Chucky series, things have not exactly gone well for the Barclay family. Karen Barclay, along with her son Andy, tried and failed to press charges on the company that manufactures the Good Guy doll line, Play Pals Inc. Because she backed up Andy's testimony, Karen is sent to the loony bin, and Andy is put in foster care. After much psychiatric care, Andy is finally allowed to go home with the foster family, Phil and Joanne Simpson. Yes, the Simpsons. These Simpsons, though, are rather cranky for foster parents, like really cranky. While Andy's adoption process is going on, PlayPal Inc. is running an investigation into the doll Chucky had possessed, and they managed to get the burnt-up doll for testing. They recreate it and give the doll a first-rate makeup job as the CEO, Christopher Sullivan, arrives to assess the doll. His lowly executive, Elliot Matson, updates the CEO on Andy's situation, and Sullivan is happy that the story is being buried. As the workers are about to finish remaking Chucky by putting the new eyeballs in, a jolt of electricity similar to the thunderbolt of past kills one of the workers, and Chucky is revived, a la Frankenstein's monster. Sullivan is infuriated at what just happened and doesn't really show much remorse for the fallen co-worker, and he orders Madison to get rid of the doll. After finishing his daily workload, Madison takes the doll with him to dispose of at a later date, thus ensuring his impending death. Madison stops by a liquor store on the way for his hot date. Meanwhile, Chucky goes through the Andy files in the car, getting information on Andy's whereabouts. Chucky needs to find Andy again because he is still in the same body, thus the rules of before still apply. Chucky needs a new body, and Andy is the new body that he needs again, but he needs to find him quickly. Chucky disposes of Madison after he fakes having a gun and forces Madison to drive by Andy's neighborhood. After moving into the foster home, Andy meets his roommate and fellow juvenile Kyle. Yes, her name is Kyle. Kyle is a bit of a wise-mouthed badass, but has a sweet heart at times, and although she finds Andy to be rather burdensome, it is not long before she forges a bond with the boy. As Andy settles into his new home, he finds a Good Guy doll in the closet which belonged to another child before him. Obviously, this freaks him out, and they take it out of his room. Later on, Andy checks the doll to make sure that he is not Chucky, and he checks the batteries, and this convinces him the doll isn't Chucky. But it is Chucky, because Chucky buried the lifeless doll Tommy. That night, Chucky attempts to play hide the soul with Andy, but is interrupted by Kyle, who was sneaking through Andy's room after a night of partying. Kyle finds Andy and unties him just as the foster parents, the Simpsons, run in, accusing Kyle of tying up Andy so he would not tattle on her for going out and partying. Phil then decides to get rid of Chucky by tossing him down in the basement. Chucky realizes he doesn't have much time now since he is beginning to bleed again. The next day, Andy goes to his first day of school, and of course, Chucky has managed to get out of the basement and is on the bus. While everyone is outside for recess, Chucky sets up Andy, getting him in trouble with the teacher, and Andy gets detention. Thinking Chucky is a doll Andy brought home with him, she tosses Chucky in the class closet, locking him in and leaving the room for some teacher business. After the teacher leaves, Andy makes his escape from the locked classroom through the window. The teacher comes back and hears noises coming from the closet that she thought she locked Chucky in, and he ends up killing her rather gruesomely with a basketball inflator and her own ruler stick. Andy runs home, crying wolf about Chucky, and the foster parents refuse to believe him. Phil shows Andy the doll hasn't moved, and to prove this to him, he takes him to the basement to show him Chucky hasn't moved, and somehow Chucky got back in time. That night, Andy takes matters into his own hands, taking a turkey carver to rip up Chucky once again. The doll anticipates this move and attacks Andy from behind. The commotion from the fight in the basement causes Phil to come downstairs and investigate. Phil finds Andy with the carver in his hands and tells him to put it down. Then Chucky causes Phil to fall and dangle off the edge of the stairs, just barely hanging on by his foot. Chucky then asks him, "How's it hanging, Phil?" Phil then falls and instantly dies of a broken neck. Joanne comes downstairs and is horrified, telling Andy to stay away from her. After the ambulance and the police come to take the body, Joanne is now convinced that Andy is some kind of bad omen, or the worst kind of jinx, and blames him for Andy's death. The head of foster care, Grace Poole, comes back to pick up Andy and take him back to the center. Before leaving, Andy warns Kyle, "Don't let Chucky get you too." After Andy is taken away, Kyle decides to have a smoke on the swing set, unaware that the Tommy doll is buried beneath her feet. She ends up finding the doll and realizes Andy was telling the truth. Kyle rushes into the house to find that Joanne has been killed by Chucky in a rather vicious fashion. Chucky then shows himself to Kyle and does battle with her, but he winds up winning and forces Kyle to take him to the orphanage center. After staging a false alarm, Kyle is caught with Chucky by Miss Poole trying to get Andy out. Chucky comes to life in Miss Poole's arms and stabs her to death. Andy and Kyle try to escape, but Chucky is able to keep Andy with him. Chucky makes a run for it and hitches a ride on the back of a newspaper truck. Kyle gives chase and tries everything to get the driver to pull over, ramming her car into it. She looks and finds nothing in the back of the truck, but sees Chucky and Andy running to, of all places, the Play Pals factory. Once inside, Chucky knocks out Andy and begins the ritual. The clouds gather, the air rises, and Chucky is finally able to finish the ritual. However, he quickly realizes the ritual did not work and he was too late. Clearly, this angers Chucky and he decides, screw it, it's time to kill the kid. Kyle saves Andy and they go on the run in the twisted, Willy Wonka looking toy factory. Andy and Kyle climb up a ramp and then attempt to find another way out, and Chucky nearly gets Andy. While giving chase, Chucky's hand gets stuck on a door by Kyle and he rips his own hand off to continue the chase. He even lodges a knife directly into his open hand to make killing easier with one hand. A security guard has the bad luck of noticing the toy operations are going haywire. He is killed by the machine he was trying to fix after Chucky cuts him on the face. The film cuts back to the kids and they begin to notice that if the factory's machines are put in reverse, the toys that are being made get majorly screwed up. Chucky then sneaks up on them from behind, but is then sewn into a toy post and the kids put the machine in reverse. Chucky is mutilated by having arms and legs molded onto him and he cries out in horrible pain. Chucky appears to be dead, and Kyle and Andy walk towards the exit. Except Chucky with one hand somehow got the guard strung up and was able to send him flying at Kyle, knocking her out. Chucky is now legless with one hand on the stroller, still trying to kill Andy. He goes in for the kill, but misses with his knife, jamming it into a vent. He then realizes he is in deep trouble because he is underneath a hot plastic valve, and Andy then releases the liquid as it melts Chucky down to his core. Andy then saves an unconscious Kyle before she is put through the limb machine. Kyle awakens to find Andy has utterly destroyed Chucky and smiles at Andy with approval. Chucky awakens for one final scare, attacking Kyle with what is left of him when Kyle sticks an air hose in his mouth, causing Chucky's head to expand and then explode, sending pieces of him all over the place. Kyle and Andy then dust themselves off and finally reach the exit. Upon leaving the factory, Andy asks Kyle, "Where are we going?" "Home," Kyle replies. Andy asks, "Where's that?" "I don't know," replies Kyle. And credits roll. So, that was Child's Play 2, the sequel to the original Child's Play, which was released in 1988. If you heard my first review, you know how I felt about the original film. I really liked it. I think it still holds up pretty well. This one, it's an okay sequel. Unfortunately, it's just not quite as good. I try to put as much enthusiasm into these videos as I can, and I will on each one, but I would be lying if I said that this one wasn't a little bit of a slog in the beginning. The way that they bring back Chucky doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but whatever. You know, you either go with it or you don't. I think overall the film is a little lacking in excitement, but there are some good kills here and there. I still like Alex Vincent playing the young Andy, and Brad Dourif, as always, is fantastic. I like the addition of Kyle, but the parents, I didn't really like them. I hate to say it because they both died, but I didn't really like them. When I said they're cranky, yeah, they really are cranky. They just don't make a whole lot of sense for foster parents. Don't know why they're taking in kids when they have like toys, like porcelain dolls over the house, and yet they give the kids a hard time about even touching them. Anyway, I think that the last third of this film, when Kyle is chasing down Chucky, like in the newspaper van, everything after that is actually really, really good. I think the music swells and it's very exciting. Just the whole entire chase in the factory is really awesome. And at the very end, when Chucky has his head blown up with the air hose, I mean, magnifique. I love the ending of this movie. That's really what makes this. If this ending wasn't in this movie, I think the Child's Play 2 would really go down as a very lackluster sequel. But I like it. It's not as successful as the original. It didn't make as much money as the original. But as a fan, I was happy to keep on going. That ending I thought was awesome. And those are my overall feelings on the film. If you guys like this video, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. You know, comment down in the section. Let me know what you thought about the film. So we're going to be moving on to part 3. I should have that out by next week. Take it easy, guys. This is the Wrestling Movie Guy, and remember to follow me at WrestlingMovieG, at WrestlingMovieG on Twitter, and I will catch you guys later.